go from Milwaukee. And already a whistle. Some perspiration on the court, perhaps.
It's probably still perspiration from...
Well, it'll be Marquette basketball. Finally have the court issue figured out. 5 seconds have ticked off the clock.
There was still some champagne left on the court from Giannis. Giannis spilling champagne after winning the finals.
Tyler Kolek running the point in number 22 in white. The Atlantic 10 Rookie of the Year last season. Out to Daryl Morcell, and the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year gets the scoring started.
Well, you have to like how the game starts for your team. You get ball movement, you get penetration, and a paint touch, which claps the defense and gets an open jump shot for Morcell.
And that early full court pressure that so many have come to expect from Shaka Smart coach teams. Brian Baroni told us it would be key for them tonight to play aggressively and attack the pressure. Taylor off the mark and tipped out of bounds and back to Marquette. So Marquette team that has 9 new scholarship players this year. 5 freshmen, the freshman class ranked in the top 20 by every recruiting service out there, and then 4 transfers, including Kurt Queth right here at the top of the key from Oklahoma. Kolek out to Lewis. He knocks down a triple.
Lewis was a spectacular freshman last season. Definitely made a name for himself in the Big East. Starting off this season, showing his ability to shoot from the perimeter, which he could do last season.
SIUE nearly turned it over. Right. Trying to rip it down underneath, and Lewis thought he had all ball. Instead, it's a foul, and 2 shots coming. That got the fans on their feet a little bit.
Well, you can see the energy already. When I talked about Shaka Smart bringing his energy that he's had at VCU in Texas, you can see Justin Lewis right now, second efforts, multiple efforts, contesting that shot. That looked close right there, Matt.
Here is Dewan Pruitt, one of a couple of transfers for Edwardsville. Butler Community College transfer, led the team last year with 13.5 points per game, was an all-Jayhawk conference player. Matt Schumacher and the 3-time NBA champ Dickie Simpkins with you from Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Morcell off the back iron, tipped out, and it'll stay right here. Marquette basketball.
Morcell really known as a defensive player, but if you're Shaka Smart, you have to like his aggressiveness offensively because he's a veteran player. He needs to set the tone for this Marquette team.
People forget, too, he was a 1,000-point scorer at Maryland.
And that's a luxury when you have a guy that can play both sides of the court effectively at a high level.
Here's Kolek, and he was fouled on the drive. Our officials tonight, Mike Roberts, J.D. Rawls, and Tim Clougherty. Kolek sort of won the starting point guard job through the preseason. Was more of a scorer at George Mason last year. Morcell rejected. And here comes Rayshawn. And he gives it up to Courtney Carter.
Even though Rayshawn Taylor is a scorer, he does have vision. He has the ability to create for his teammates, as you saw in transition. Nice, simple pass for an easy score.
And a double dribble whistled against Justin Lewis. And that'll give it back to Edwardsville. This Edwardsville team is interesting, Dickie. They returned 10 players this year, but when you talk to Brian Baroni, they only played 1 game last year with a full complement of players. So many injuries and then ravaged by COVID-19. So while they are new, they also aren't with 10 players returning. It's kind of a unique dynamic in Edwardsville. How about that move from Pruitt? And just like that, a 1-point basketball game.
Pruitt, a 4-5. He can play both positions, athletic, long, showing his length right there with nice touch using the glass. But like you said, Matt, last season, everybody had to deal with COVID protocol.
Sean Doss has just checked into the game for SIUE. Lob pass to Queth, knocked away. Here's Taylor underneath, and with the left hand got it to go, and Edwardsville with a 1-point lead. Prosper.
The point of emphasis and his sense of urgency every possession.
Prosper off the top of the backboard, hauled down by Lamar Wright.
And so far early in this game, Matt, they have a sense of urgency on both sides of the court, offensively and defensively, and their defense has created some good offensive looks.
Here's Doss elevating. Offensive rebound for Pruitt. Gives it back to Doss, and an up and under goes down.
Nice footwork by Doss. The Cougars attacking the offensive glass. I think Marquette's playing into the Cougars' hands when they come down and launch up a three that quick in the possession.
9-0 run right now for Edwardsville. And the turnaround for Lamar Wright is pure. 5-point lead for SIUE. Lewis got tripped up. No whistle. And now a 3-on-3. Taylor. Curtis walled off. Curtis tries again. Rejected by Queth. Knocked out of bounds. Marquette hasn't scored a basket in the last 3:15.
Cougars are doing the best thing they could do right now in the starting point of the game. The majority of their 11 points have been scored by defense creating offense, so they haven't had to play against a set defense of Marquette's.
Shaka Smart has put a massive emphasis on defense this year coming to Marquette, as many of you might expect. Was known for that havoc style at VCU. Both down. Missed all of last year with a right ACL tear. But Taylor was the guy when Baroni took over the head coaching job 3 years ago. A recruit out of Illinois. He was prospect 1A, 1B, and 1C. Re-recruited by Shaka Smart and his staff. They flew out to re-recruit him in Pennsylvania, and he decided to stick around. Here's Sean Doss throwing it up top to Pruitt. SIUE came to play.
The Cougars' execution and transition is at a high level right now.
Cam Jones off the back iron. Shots just not falling right now for Marquette. They've gone over 4 minutes without a field goal. Historic run with the Rams in 2011 to the Final Four. 8 total trips for Shaka Smart to the NCAA tournament.
Shaka Smart's an experienced college coach. This is the first game of the season. It's early in the game. Keeping your composure. There's a lot going on in this game. With it being his first game, when you're playing with 5 freshmen, you're playing with a bunch of newcomers. So it's going to take time for everybody to find themselves in this first half. So embrace the moment here and have poise.
Well, they've only played 1 game in this arena in front of a full crowd. That was an exhibition game against a D2 school in Bowie State. And they blew them out of the water. This is their first test as a unit against a Division I program in a game that counts. And you said it, taking 9 new scholarship players as Kolick gets fouled driving to the rack. And 2 shots coming for the George Mason transfer.
And that's what Kolick provides. A heady player, has vision, very good passer. Only a freshman, well, we say another freshman because, freshman. Yes, he gets to carry over that freshman year. But he has a presence on the court like he's a senior.
Shaka Smart said he's been the best all-around player amongst the guards and really just won over the starting point guard role because he was the steadiest with the rock in his hands. And now Marquette can set up that full court pressure. Cutting into this SIUE lead. Courtney with the turnover. Kolick through contact, and he's made the last 4 points for Marquette.
And right there, that's not a freshman move. That's not a regular freshman move. patience, knew how to draw contact, absorb the contact, and still able to get it on the glass and finish.
Sean Doss stepped out of bounds before he launched the three, and a turnover gives it back to Marquette. Just the second turnover for the Cougars. They've executed really well on the road in a packed house. Only one player on their team has been to Pfizer form. That was Sean Doss. As Kolek kicks it out, Lewis a bit heavy and gives it back to Edwardsville.
Yeah, the Cougars have executed, and you have to say that coaches Baroni's talk with them after the loss in the exhibition game about that sense of urgency again is reflecting in this first half so far.
Courtney Carter struggling a little bit handling the basketball. Wright gets it back out to Carlos Curtis. Curtis with 9. Doss spinning and off the side of the rim.
Now the Golden Eagles are making things happen off their defense.
Kolek on the step back just off the mark.
That early in the possession.
They shot 43 threes in their exhibition game against Bowie State. A lot of that had to do with the fact that they were just open looks, but certainly Shaka Smart brings with him an offense that is reliant on good three-point shooting.
Yeah, it's not about hunting for three-point shots. It's about getting good three-point shots. And if the defense dictates you getting three-point shot opportunities, but then by all means, you need to take that shot. But that last possession with Kolek taking it early in the possession on a step back, a James Harden or a Luka Doncic step back, I don't know about that one. But I get it, you know, still first half. He's been aggressive the last couple of plays going to the basket, so I can understand.
And Shamar Wright going over the top of Omax Prosper. The first field goal in the last 2.5 minutes for the Cougars. Prosper down to Iguodaro, tipped away. Prosper, right place, right time, hammers it home.
You can say that again. Being alert. As you see the defense now, that's that Shaka Smart style full court defense coming up the steals.
Iguodaro offensive board and puts it off the glass.
And the coaching staff has been very pleased with Iguodaro. He's come back more improved from last season. Confidence, swag. Still need over. You have 5 freshmen. Not a lot of teams are having that many freshmen on their roster.
But in the Big East, we're seeing a lot of it as Morcell ties it up with a two-hand jam. Creighton has 5 freshmen. Georgetown has 5 freshmen. Bit of a youth movement in the Big East this year, which is kind of surprising given the fact that all these guys had an extra year of eligibility due to COVID-19 as Wright puts it back on the tip in.
And what you want to do as a college coach these days is you want to find a good balance of college transfers. Hopefully 1 or 2 of those guys can be graduate transfers so he can guard guards. He can guard all the way up to big forwards and bigs. And he has the athleticism to move around quick in the passing lane.
Smart said there's just a nastiness to Daryl Morcell. All up in your grill all the time. That time it was Kolek creating the turnover. And Morcell trying to get it to him, and a kick called on Dewan Pruitt. Queth, who was the 3rd leading shot blocker in the Big 12 last year at Oklahoma. He is not in the game right now, though. And a foul on Kolek. He tried to get in the passing lane there and instead caught Lamar Wright on the wrist.
And so now, in the early part of the game, when the Cougars were scoring in transition, they were stopping Marquette and letting their defense help score offense. Now, Marquette is able to change the momentum because they can set up their defense.
And Polk stepped out of bounds. And gives it right back to Marquette. That's the 5th turnover of the first half. Make it the 6th for Edwardsville. You surprised at all right now by the score?
No, I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. I mean, you have to think we just showed the roster turnover for Marquette. They're getting used to each other, figuring out their fit. As you see, SIUEdwardsville with a nice touch move. That's where he's improved. He's more aggressive. He's more confident. He's displaying that talent and touch that he has in his game.
Only played 38 minutes last year. Sat out the last 9 games of the season with a foot injury. And Shaka Smart said they'd utilize him a lot more than Marquette fans saw him on the floor last year.
Well, he wasn't fully ready last season. He had to play because they had a team that was scarce. But he wasn't ready physically as a freshman. He wasn't ready as far as his confidence as a freshman, where Justin Lewis, Garcia, who transferred out, those guys were advanced physically, confidence-wise, and mentally, where they impacted the game as freshmen.
Now Kirkweth checking back in. His 6'10" transfer from Oklahoma with a 7'5" wingspan. 3 seconds on the shot clock. Polk inbounding for Edwardsville. Taylor. In, out, and back in for Taylor.
And that's what he can do, that speed, quickness, athleticism. He kind of has that wiggle, that herky-jerky little offense.
Morcell for 3. That's his second. And Marquette regains the lead.
When you have a player that's a defensive presence, but also can provide offense, you can't get any better than that.
Another turnover, the 7th for SIUE. Morcell short and tracked down by Wright. Taylor, right past Omax Prosper. 8 points for Taylor to lead all Edwardsville scorers. And a blocking foul underneath. Well, now they've reversed the call. Lamar Wright commitments for Shaka while at Texas to make the move over to Marquette with him. Taylor weaving through the defense.
Marquette has to figure out how do they contain Taylor. He's the motor to this Southern Illinois University Edwardsville team.
And a foul off the ball gives it right back to Marquette. Let me ask you this, Dickie. You played in the Big East, played at Providence. You think it's more difficult for a team with all these new guys defensively, given the schemes that Shaka Smart runs, or do you think it's more difficult on the offensive end?
I think it's difficult. It's difficult on both sides.
Yeah.
But if it's more difficult defensively, because those are the principles that you want your team to really buy into. Offensively, right? Anybody can buy into offense, right? Because it's about scoring, it's about shooting. But I would give the edge to it's more difficult with new guys defensively, because you got to get the timing and the trust.
Prosper rattles home a triple. Marquette letting them fly from downtown tonight. That's the 5th. And they're shooting over 35% from distance. Kolek, great defense, and forces another Edwardsville turnover. That's the 9th. Tyler Kolek defensively.
You know, nothing about Tyler Kolek looks like athletic. You're going to be this. Oh, look at the vision. That's what I was talking about. Unbelievable vision right there on that pick and roll. They call it pocket pass. Back in my day, it was just a drop pass. But he threaded the needle with that pass.
Marquette on a 5-0 run. It's out of bounds and back to the Golden Eagles.
Development with the young players they had to move on to the NBA. And he's the right choice to be able to get this Golden Eagles program going.
Joplin in and out, picked up by Kolek. He's been all over the place. Dishing the rock, picking up rebounds, forcing turnovers. And now Omax Prosper. Under 10 to shoot. Shot clock reset for Kolek. Out for another 3. Cam Jones off the mark and out of bounds. It'll stay with Marquette.
Well, for the viewers that are watching this game, this is the reason why Kolek won the starting position. That possession right there, he touched the ball about 4 or 5 times and made plays for his team. Whether it was a rebound, a pass, a rebound and a pass, just seeing and looking at vision.
Here he is baseline, try to throw it up to Quett, who somehow corralled it and had the presence of mind to go right back up.
And the momentum of this game changed with Marquette's defense, this full court defense, and Kolek being aggressive and finishing.
Quett with a massive rejection. Stopper. And Shaka Smart actually played against him, right? Because Shaka was coaching at Texas. Quett was in Oklahoma. And Shaka said, I used to hate playing Quett and was happy when Oklahoma would take him out of the game because it meant easier shots for my offense. It doesn't get much easier than that. Quett hammering it down.
Quett blocking shots at one end, and Kolek rewarding him on the other end with the nice pick and roll lob.
Kolek going for the turnover. He's whistled for the foul. Leading points in the paint by a substantial margin. Marquette now has the lead in that as a triple goes down for Curtis. And it's back to a 3-point game.
Well, that was good hustle. That was Curtis to Curtis. Curtis with the hustle on the offensive boards and tapping it out to Carlos Curtis.
Joplin in and out. High arcing pass to Sean Doss, who makes a smart play and lays it in. Marquette fans may remember him at Arkansas Pine Bluff last year. He came into this building and dropped 27 against Marquette in November of last year. Quett off the front end. And finally corralled by Taylor. He wants to push the pace. To shoot. Lamar Wright on the double. Gives it up to Doss. Beats the shot clock by a second on a pretty teardrop from the transfer.
Doss with excellent body control. Nice touch to get it over the big fella and keep it from being blocked.
A game of runs here in the first half. SIUE on an 8-0 run to take a 1-point lead. 64% from the floor for Brian Baroni's club. Welcome to everybody tuning in on our special Big East opening night FS1 tip around. A tight contest here with 4:30 left in the first half between Marquette and SIUE. Opening night in the Big East. Matt Schumacher, 3-time NBA champ Dickie Simpkins with you. Late in the shot clock again for Edwardsville. And Quett goes up and rips down a tough board. Here comes Daryl Morsell. And an offensive foul against Morsell. And Brian Baroni is animated on the Edwardsville sideline with it tonight in Milwaukee.
Well, Coach Baroni talked about after they lost that game in the press conference how he owned having to make sure his guys performed and had a sense of urgency on every possession. Well, that talk must have went well the next day of practice.
Here's Stevie Mitchell left open, and Mitchell knocks it down from 15 feet.
You gotta like that when your freshman is coming down court under control, sees a nice opening in mid-range, shooting it with confidence.
And
coming back to where, you know, he met his wife, he played, the emotions of that. He said you can't avoid the emotions of that, but you have to be reeled in on what it's all about at the end of the day.
Here's Doss in transition. Doss. And the pull-up is good.
Doss has that little fadeaway in the paint. He's getting a lot of paint touches with the fadeaway. Nice game after only having 2 points in the exhibition game.
And tonight in the first half, he's got 8 points on 4 of 6 in just 11 minutes. Here's Morsell. And the rebound hauled in by Polk. And here comes Rayshawn Taylor. 1 point lead for SIUE.
I really like how the Cougars are using their versatility, the gang rebound.
Mattis Just checking in, foul on the floor. Particularly really high on this freshman.
Well, the one thing you can see the muscle he has added. He can still continue to get stronger, but I know coming in as a freshman in the Big East, as you see the steal right here, and the dunk by Prosper, Omax playing above the rim. But I know coming in as a freshman, I weighed like 220 pounds. And after my freshman year, I was 245. But when you gain that muscle and that strength and you spend your off season and you come back stronger, that increases your confidence for sure.
What were you eating?
No. I was like, man, I remember it's Coach Sean Brown. He would put like 20 plates on the leg press machine. Man, it was crazy.
So you were just eating the weights.
Eating the weights.
Stevie Mitchell lost the handle. Has kept it 15 on the timer. Here's Morcell. Up and under and rolls it home. And Morcell now in double figures with 11.
Well, that was a good job by Mitchell to regain his ball handling and then have the ability to make a play to Morcell. And you see the defense here.
Picked off by Iguodaro. And Morcell, a second chance. Now Mitchell from straight away. Marquette, we know they like to take a lot of threes. They've taken 18 of them so far tonight. But they haven't exactly been a fit.
And athleticism playing those passing lanes.
It's a Marquette team that was picked 9th in the Big East preseason poll. But Daryl Morcell said that's a joke. There's too much talent on this team, and defensively, we're going to be really strong this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't get caught into the preseason poll. I know if you're in the top 5 or your top 3, you love to see your name or your team name there. But if anything, you use that to motivate you throughout the season.
Turnover gives it back to Marquette. Final 67 seconds of the first half coming your way.
Done it with the Shaka Smart style defense, and the Cougars have done it with their energy, staying focused, attacking in transition.
Courtney Carter tried to loft it in, and a foul is called against Marquette. And I believe that'll go against Daryl Morcell. Indeed it will. And that is his second personal and the team's 10th of the half. Free throws coming for Southern Illinois.
When you're looking at Southern Illinois, they're only down by 3, and they've only made 1 3-point shot.
Just somehow hung around in this first half. There's been many points in this first half where SIUE has been up a couple of points.
Well, they've been attacking in transition, which helps them shoot a 60% field goal percentage, even only shooting 33% from the 3, only taking 3 threes and only being down 3 points.
Kolek on the drive. And now here comes Shamar Wright, 3-on-2. Final 45 seconds of the first half. SIUE can tie with a triple. Five to shoot. And a whistle underneath. 3-second violation against SIUE, and it goes back to Marquette.
Yeah, Jonathan Curtis set up his tent, his campfire, his marshmallows. He was in the paint too long, and I get he's trying to establish himself and get the guards to throw him the ball. But you, as a big, you have to know when to step into the paint, show big, to make sure the guards have vision at the time you're stepping in. You don't want to stay and camp in the paint too long.
About a 2-second differential between game and shot. Tyler Kolek runs the point for Marquette. 7 assists already in the first half for the A-10 Rookie of the Year last season. 10 to shoot for the Golden Eagles.
This should be ball screen. Justin and Kolek. There you go.
3 to shoot. Got to get it up, and Marquette could not. It's a double dribble. And it goes against Justin Lewis, so 3.3 left for SIUE to potentially get a shot up here.
Good defense by the Cougars, trapping on the ball screen, making Kolek give the ball up. The rotation was quick and made Justin hesitate on the three-point shot.
Carlos Curtis inbounding. Gives it up to Courtney Carter. Baseline drive, and Carter beats the
8 points. You saw his explosive performances last season against the Marquette and the Baylor team.
They had 25 and 10 against Baylor, the ultimate national champions. And a three-point shot goes down for SIUE. And the Cougars start the second half with a lead. This is an Edwardsville team that returns 10 players from their roster a season ago, but they only played one game last year with the full complement of players, done with a lot of injuries. Meanwhile, Justin Lewis gets Marquette on the board to start the second half.
And after having a very good freshman campaign his sophomore season, this is Justin Lewis is who we needed to see more of in the first half. He was very quiet. And let's see what he does. He's starting out the second half. As you see, Rayshawn Taylor using his speed, quickness, and his strength. Matt, we're going to get it back on defense. And we talked to Coach Shaka Smart earlier today. He talked about continuing to try to find a leader for this team.
My man Dickie Simpkins was in, three-time NBA champ with the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, and part of that retreat, as you see, Dorsal using that veteran presence, knowing how to play the hesitation dribble with the left, and his strength to get to the basket and draw the foul for the chance for a three-point play. Hey, The Last Dance, man. I didn't. Did he say something about The Last Dance?
Yes, he did.
Oh, I didn't even. Oh, okay. But no, he was trying to establish. He knows that he needs to find a leader. They go on a retreat. Let's watch some clips of The Last Dance so you can see leadership skills from Michael Jordan, and you guys can understand what it takes. And, you know, being a leader comes from the top. So Shaka Smart has to show that leadership presence. Then you want it to trickle down to a player who can handle leading his team, uncomfortable conversations, and holding his teammates accountable.
That last free throw by Daryl Morcell gives him 14. That's a game high. Yeah, you talk about it starting from the top down. As Rayshawn Taylor goes to the cup, rejected and in the hands of Omax Prosper. Daryl Morcell said he's never seen a coach get down and do bear crawls with his team. That's exactly what Shaka Smart did as Morcell ripped
the full hard on his hip. But going back to Shaka Smart doing the bear crawl, he talked about the conventional ways to get your team to understand and the unconventional. Him getting down so they can see him actually in action.
Lewis through contact, no. Tip out. And now Stevie Mitchell has it poked away. But a foul on the floor before SIUE could get their hands on it. It'll stay right here.
Well, that possession played into Marquette's hand. They get the offensive tap back out, and then it goes to Mitchell. And one of the things, another person commit, and you can get an open shot.
Here's Justin Lewis, the leading returning scorer for Marquette from last season. He draws a foul, and 2 shots coming.
It reminds me of one of my former teammates, Eric Williams, that played in the NBA for a long time, was drafted by the Boston Celtics, was on our team when we won the Big East championship. You know, that 6'7" guy that just has a knack for scoring. Doesn't necessarily look that athletic, but has a adequate amount of athleticism to help him be effective around the basket. He gives me that kind of flavor. More of a scoring the paint guy, but can stretch also to the perimeter jump shot.
Well, certainly some NBA prospect buzz anyway around Justin Lewis. Still young and still with a lot of development to go according to Shaka Smart, but has really progressed so far in his ability to play harder for longer. And that's his next area of improvement, according to the head coach.
Yeah, and you know, you have to be more, like you said, more consistent, doing it all the time, going longer spurts, and that's going to be a big key. How do you transition from your freshman year where you played well
SIUE underneath with 20 on the timer. And now out to Pruitt. Cougars have shot 58% from the floor. And a foul underneath. That goes against Ighodaro. There have been a lot of off-the-ball fouls tonight on Marquette.
And Marquette has to get better in that area. When you're off the ball, you need to be in between your man and where the ball is. You need to use your quickness and speed. And that was just Curtis being physical, getting post-up position. A lot of guys flying all over the place right now.
And 5 fouls already for Marquette in this half and 4 for SIUE. Teams keep this up. We'll be shooting free throws for the final 10 minutes of the half. Lewis got tied up. Possession arrow stays with Marquette.
Well, I like how Marquette tried to, well, they didn't try. They accomplished developing a mismatch. Lewis on Rashawn Taylor.
4-point basketball game. Here is Omax Prosper. Through contact. Second opportunity. Went off his knee and back to SIUE.
I like the aggressiveness. I like the attack to the basket. And he's going to start finishing that more. I mean, his physical structure, another piece to this defense with his size and length, his mobility, tipped that he was going to be aggressive attacking this defense.
10 points for Taylor tonight. Rebound was hauled in by Justin Lewis. Morcell on the shuffle pass. In and out. Second chance for Stevie Mitchell. Right to the cup and lays it in.
That's what you want to see with your freshman.
9-0 run for Marquette. The fans starting to get back into it here at Fiserv Forum.
Hustle plays by Mitchell. Offensive rebound. Put back.
Doss responds with a left hand and stops a 9-0 run for Marquette.
Good pass by Jonathan Curtis. When you have a big that has the ability to pass.
Ighodaro kept it alive. Lewis on the baseline. Hammer time.
And that is the spectacular plays that he was having flashes of last season. That's what you want to see more of this season. Nice aggressive baseline, a nice inside-out move with a finish.
9 points, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, and an assist to boot for Lewis. 6-point lead for Marquette. Here's Taylor. Doss with the extra pass. And an air ball from Pruitt, and now Morcell wants to push the pace. Cam Jones rattles home a triple. Marquette has not shot it great from downtown tonight, just 5 of 20, but that's a big one from Jones.
Well, I know Cam Jones, when he committed to Marquette, they were real excited about his talent. He could definitely score the ball, and he's not shy about any shot.
Carlos Curtis driving and draws a foul on Cam Jones.
He's been contributing in the second half, which has been good. You can see the Cougars showing a little full court pressure here, switching it up, using their quickness and speed.
Picked off by Taylor. And he'll go coast to coast with it. Second chance, no. Carlos Curtis on the third opportunity draws a foul. And 2 shots coming again for SIUE.
Well, the Golden Eagles getting
2-possession game. And now some full court pressure from SIUE.
One thing you like about the Cougars, they can switch on defense pretty much at every position on the court.
Stevie Mitchell on the crossover, rejected by Curtis. Mitchell stayed with it. It was Wright coming over to knock it away. I believe there was either a foul on the floor or they counted the basket. And they did count the basket. 2 points for Stevie Mitchell. Here's Carlos Curtis. 5 to shoot for SIUE. I said he's the only one of us, staff included, who's actually ever stepped foot in the Pfizer Forum building, let alone score 27 points.
Right.
Here's Morcell, left open. Knocks down a 3, dead away. And Morcell has 19.
I'm pretty impressed with Morcell and what he's bringing to this Marquette team with his veteran presence.
Largest lead of the night for Marquette. Right. Second chance, no. Tipped around right for a third opportunity, and the baby hook goes.
Good hustle. Nice reaction. Repeat jumps. Staying with it.
Morcell fouled as he lost the handle on the drive. And it goes against Rayshawn Taylor.
Lamar Wright just being active, using his energy in there, keeping offensive rebounds alive.
Welcome those of you joining us on FS1, the Big East opening night whip around. Fouls have become a major storyline in this game. 3 Marquette Eagles with 3 or more fouls, including Prosper playing with 3. He's rejected on the drive. And here comes Sean Doss. Jump down the
base to receive that ball.
You talked about your bulk up journey when you first got to Providence. He's in the middle of that right now at SIUE. He came in at 6'10", 225 pounds generously. He's put on 15 pounds since getting to campus.
And not many teams are playing with traditional post-up bigs.
Stevie Mitchell from the corner. That's a 3. And Marquette stretching out the lead to 11.
The freshman is showing up today. He's showing up and showing out right now with his performance.
10 points in just 13 minutes for Mitchell.
And one of the biggest things, he's added 4 assists in this game.
Marquette has assisted on 16 of their 24 made field goals. Really struggled in the first half to shoot from downtown. They were just 4 of 18. But in this half, they are 3 for 4 from distance.
And you see the Golden Eagles playing right now with 2 point guards on the court, Mitchell and Kolek. One's a true freshman, one's a extra year freshman.
And an offensive foul.
Certain physicality.
That was the wrong type of violence, though.
Yeah. He didn't need that at that moment right there.
65-52 Marquette. 12 minutes left in the ball game. Courtney Carter playing with 4 fouls on a kick out to Taylor. Pruitt fighting for the rebound, and it'll stay with SIUE. Lamar Wright playing hard for SIUE.
Gotta love it. He doesn't want to give middle, but you have to be able to defend both. Just don't let a guy rip. And when you mean rip, you mean left to right knee, ripping it through the defender, trying to drive baseline. But the most important thing, you heard him, Matt. He said this is a drill we do every day. You have this young team. You have a lot of transfers. And it's going to just take a little bit of time for that repetition to become instinct.
Well, we know Shaka Smart loves defense. Since the 2011-2012 season, Smart's teams have finished in the top 40 of the defensive efficiency rankings, according to Ken Palm. That's pretty good. And that's an area that Marquette really needed to improve on. They ranked 8th or worse in the Big East in terms of defensive efficiency 4 out of the last 5 seasons. I have a feeling, partner, that's going to change this year.
Well, if you're going to be a player that's going to play for Shaka Smart, you better come with his guys to play offense and have a free, open mind and confidence. You can see Mitchell as a freshman. He's out here playing with a clear, open mind with confidence offensively. But I always say it's a price to pay. You want to have freedom offensively. You want to be able to shoot threes and then you're going to have to do it on the defensive end too.
4th personal on Rayshawn Taylor. their star-studded freshman. He exits the ball game. 10 points in 20 minutes for Taylor.
Sorry about that. That is a tough hit right there because you still have over 11 minutes left in this game, and now you have to sit him on the sideline. And if you're Coach Baroni, the question is, how long does he sit over you?
18 fouls now for SIUE. Ball ricochets out of bounds, but it's off Iguodaro, and it stays with SIUE. How long would you keep him on the bench?
Rashawn, hey, go back in the game right now, man. Go back. We're down 11.
Switch offense, defense.
We're down 11, and if you don't want this to get away from you.
Desmond Polk off the back iron, tipped around by Pruitt. Corralled underneath by Carlos Curtis. Iguodaro wrestled to the floor, and Pruitt wins it back for SIUE.
And that's just 50-50.
And that's good because he's one of just a couple of guys that is not in foul trouble at the moment for SIUE.
Well, I think that was a good job by the officials. They had 6 eyes over there on the monitor screen, so I think they made the right decision.
How about that play from Tyler Kolek? And Lewis the other way. Finger roll, no. Tip in, yes. Tyler Kolek has done it on both sides of the floor, Dickey, turning defense to offense that time.
Just getting his hands on the ball. Coach Shaka Smart likes to preach getting 32 or more defense.
13-point lead for Marquette, their largest of the evening here against SIUE. Lewis backing down Polk.
As a pulse on how to entice and get recruits to understand coming to the program.
Here's Morcell on the drive, rejected by Wright. It'll stay right here. Yeah, to your point, when Baroni was an assistant at Green Bay, he was instrumental in both the recruitment and the development of two-time Horizon League Player of the Year Kiefer Sykes, and of course the second-round NBA draft pick Alec Brown back in 2015. On a drive from Carlos Curtis, he has got the basket to count. They'll call a goaltending on Marquette. And so now all of a sudden SIUE changing the tides a little bit here at Pfizer Forum. It's back to single digits.
And right now you can afford to have Rashawn Taylor still sitting because you're chipping into the lead that Marquette had with him on the bench.
Here's Stevie Mitchell. Short on that three. Courtney Carter bringing the ball up the floor. He's playing with 4 fouls. Couldn't get it past Kirkweth. Up ahead to Morcell.
That's a good point. He was looking for a bigger role. He felt like he's played college basketball. He excelled. And I always say, know your role, embrace your role, and star in your role. And he did that at Maryland. Now he wanted a bigger role.
A drive from Carlos Curtis goes down. Cougars hanging tough here midway through the second half. And an offensive foul will go against Marquette. And I believe it is against Morcell. That's his 3rd personal.
Yeah, Carter was just sizing that up. Moved his feet over the screen. Got his body into position. Easy call.
12th team foul in this half.
In every possession that the Cougars are able to get a defensive stop, and if they can capitalize on the defensive stop with a bucket, the more Rashawn Taylor can rest in foul trouble.
8 to shoot. And another turnover, a steal from Tyler Kolek. Shuffle pass back to Queth. Back to 10 for Marquette. Queth knocks down the second.
Queth came off of that exhibition game with 12 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 blocks.
Here's Courtney Carter from the corner. And a run out for Marquette. Kolek in transition.
Kolek's been struggling offensively, but he's been making up for it with all the other things he's been doing, creating shots for other guys, the hustle plays, deflections.
Only 4 points for him tonight on 1 of 5, but he does have 7 assists. Here's Carter to the rack.
Carter showing athleticism, attacking that basket, playing above the rim.
Lewis creating space on the baseline. No. Queth fighting for it. And it'll go back to SIUE. It has been impressive the way that Southern Illinois Edwardsville has come in here on opening night in the Big East at a packed house Fiserv Forum, the start of the Shaka Smart era, and they have kept it close when it looked like at times throughout this second half Marquette could really pull away.
I really like what SIUE has done, and you're absolutely right. You know, we talked about last season, they weren't able to be all together. They played 19 games in 43 days. Now, just imagine the time they'll get this season to grow as a team. Ooh.
Stop and start for Tyler Kolek.
That's that deceptive hesitation
of Milwaukee in a little town called Oregon, Wisconsin. And Dickie, there's been a lot made about his move from Texas to Marquette, but chatting with Shaka Smart, it just seems like this is a match that pairs identities and values between Shaka Smart and Marquette basketball.
Yeah, I mean, in your coaching career, you know, there are times where you have to make a change, or change is needed. And you know, there's a new fit. One place was a fit at one time, and you know, I talked to Shaka earlier today that he's been an assistant coach in the ACC, head coach in the Big 12. Now
he said when you asked him, what are you bringing to the Big East? And he said, well, I don't know if I'm bringing anything new, but of all the coaches, I'm going to be the coach that's most grateful to be here.
Yes, that was impressive. He was going to make sure everybody knows how grateful he is to be a coach in this great conference.
There's Sean Doss on the run out. Single-handed hammer time jam for Sean Doss. And just like that, it's a 2-possession ball game.
It seems like the Golden Eagles, as you see Doss just flying down the court, he's having flashbacks of scoring 27 points in this building last season, but he's just played unbelievably well and given this Cougars team a spark. 6 for 10, 13 points. And you're talking about when Brayshawn Taylor went out the game with 11:20 left, and they were down 11. He comes back in the game with 7:20, and now they're only down 6.
Well, you said he's a game changer for this Southern Illinois Edwardsville program. They did not have the luxury of having him on the floor last year. Missed all of last season with a torn ACL. He was one of 3 key players that missed the year with season-ending injuries. And they are just thrilled to have him back on the floor and making an impact. Another turnover gives it right back to the Cougars.
Well, he's definitely special.
Here's Desmond Polk from the corner. No. Tracks down his own board. Picked up by Omax Prosper. He's rejected at the rim. But the officials blow the whistle, and Prosper will get 2 shots. And he was met with some elevation from Shamar Wright.
Shamar Wright, 6'7", 185, went up and contested that. Got him a little bit on the hand, but I like the hustle. He didn't give up. I mean, I like Coach Baroni's team competing they are competing at a high level.
That is 3 fouls now on Shamar Wright. And so Brian Baroni has Taylor with 4, Shamar Wright with 3, and his twin brother Lamar Wright with 4. And now Shamar will head to the bench with those 3 fouls.
This SIU Edwardsville team is playing with a chip on their shoulders.
We talked about it in the first half. They lacked urgency in their exhibition game against Quincy. That has been the buzzword in this program coming into tonight. They have shown it from the tip.
Yeah, I can say right now, they have not lacked any sense of urgency in this game.
Jonathan Curtis in and out. Tip in attempt no good from Sean Doss. Kolick trying to whip it, no look into Prosper. Tipped out of bounds. It'll stay right here. One of the big question marks coming into the season for Shaka Smart, who would run the point for Marquette with all these transfers coming in? And while Kolick hasn't had the best night shooting, he has shown why he earned the starting role with 7 assists. Make it 8. Hammer time. SIUEdwardsville.
I like that right there. That's the confidence. That's the extra muscle and strength, the explosion. But it can only happen because Kolick seeing the division, making the defender commit, and dropping it off.
Taylor drawing contact on Daryl Morsell. 2 shots coming for Taylor. And for Morsell, that's his 4th. So now for Marquette, Cam Jones with 4, Morsell with 4, Tyler Kolick, Omax Prosper, and Justin Lewis all with 3. Check that, Lewis just with 2, but Prosper and Kolick playing with 3 fouls. One of the things that stood out when Brian Baroni talked to us about Rayshon Taylor, yes, he was out all last year, but what impressed Baroni the most about him was how he stayed engaged all season long. Wasn't afraid to speak up from the bench and be a voice for this team, even though he wasn't on the floor.
Yeah, the Cougars kind of have the same situation as the Golden Eagles. They're looking for a leadership presence, and because he was engaged, it seems like he's that player that will most likely be the one that can take over that duty of being the leader.
Ighodaro fighting for a 3rd opportunity, won't get it. Here is Taylor. And he pulls it back out. 75-68, 4:45 left in Milwaukee. Taylor scoots it down.
And he might have got fouled right there, Matt.
A lot of contact on it. Stevie Mitchell comes right back the other way and responds. Mitchell with 14 points. The freshman from Reading, Pennsylvania.
I like Mitchell's poise, his composure as a freshman. He just drove it in nice and easy, read the defense, nice floater.
There are a lot of guys in this game right now playing with foul trouble. Lamar Wright has just checked back in, wearing number 55 for Southern Illinois Edwardsville. He's playing with 4 fouls.
You're talking about 4 minutes left. Cougars down by 7. This is a possession that Golden Eagles want to be efficient. And that's what you're talking about when you talk about being efficient. But it was all set up by Kolick.
Kolick now with 9 assists to go along with 3 steals. Timeout on the floor taken by Brady here, Dickey. What are you running on this inbounds play to try and get back into this and make it potentially a 2-possession game?
Well, you're definitely going to have the ball in Rayshon Taylor's hand to make a play. You're looking at more of a ball screen situation. He should get a shot.
Taylor. 3 is off the mark, tipped around by Omax and into the hands of Kolick. 9 assists for Kolick, but he's picked by Pruitt. 2-on-1, and Wright finishes with a jam.
One of the rare turnovers by Kolick. Only 2 turnovers for the game, but a rare one
13th turnover of the night for Marquette. 7-point deficit for SIUE. Under 3 to play at Pfizer Forum. Mitchell on the pull-up, no. Lewis was fouled on the baseline as he elevated for the rebound. It's a tight one here on Big East.
Hey, man, forget about my defense. I came here to show you my offense and show you that I have the ability to do it on both sides of the court. He has definitely stood out and has an impressive performance thus far.
Leads all scorers with 21 points. Meanwhile, Justin Lewis at the free throw line. He has 14 to go along with 9 rebounds. Make it 15 for the redshirt freshman. It's funny. Shaka Smart joked with Justin Lewis all offseason. Ribbed him. You still don't have a double-double in college basketball. There's no better time, though, to get it than in the season opener. He's 1 rebound away.
1 rebound away. And he has like a quiet 15. Like, he's had a couple of buckets, but it's been like a quiet 15.
A super flashy player. Yes, he's got the bag of tricks. But he's not an in-your-face guy where you know he's knocking down threes or hammering home a monster jam.
Yeah, I mean, last season when I watched him, he had deceptive athleticism. He had some dunks on defenders that I was like, wow. And he had a knack for rebounding the ball, scrumming out offensive rebounds as well as defensive rebounds. And now in this game, he was showing a little bit of his rebounding and pushing out. I just want him to get to a point where there he goes, your double. Or does that rebound count?
Step on the line.
On the rebound, does
Let's
that count?
See how they score it. He is still stuck on 9 rebounds.
Ooh.
And the ball goes back to Southern Illinois Edwardsville. Now they only trail by 8 points here. 2:31 left. Both teams in the double bonus.
This is an important BOB, baseline out of bounds right here. You need to score off of this. Very good execution. Very good execution.
Right with 11 points. And it's back to a 2-possession game. Stevie Mitchell running the point here for Marquette.
And this is an important part of the game for the Golden Eagles. This is a learning part of the game, time management, score.
There's Lewis with 4 to shoot. Lewis hop step, finger roll goes down. And Lewis now has 17 points and extends the lead back to 8. NCAA tournament appearances, including a Final Four with VCU back in 2011. And there is Brian Baroni, whose club has fought and clawed every minute of this game since tip-off. It was a 1-point game at halftime. And the Marquette alum has led his SIUE Cougars into Milwaukee and given Marquette everything they can handle. Here's Taylor at the cup, draws a foul, and it goes against Daryl Morcell. And that is his 5th. And so Morcell has fouled out with 21 points tonight, partner. He heads to the bench for the final 138.
Yeah, the offensive impact that he's done is still needed in this little bit of the game. But let's see.
We've seen a lot more contact than that tonight.
Yeah. I mean, we saw Dewan Pruitt almost he pushed Iguodala down to the ground lightly, but that's a questionable call right there. Nevertheless, Marquette still has to figure out how to take care of the ball right here, how to get a good shot still. And I like the fact that the Cougars are putting everything on the line right now. 3/4 court pressure.
Lewis, Prosper, Kolick, Iguodaro, and Mitchell on the floor for Marquette. And for SIUE, it's Pruitt, Wright, Doss, and Curtis. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Kolick down to Iguodaro, and a rare errant pass from Kolick gives it right back to the Cougars.
Well, you see the Cougars' defensive lineup, the roster they had on the court right there. Everybody could switch at every position. You had speed and quickness. You're trapping ball screens to create that turnover. I mean, this is still a game. This is a two-possession game.
On the drive from Pruitt, had it knocked loose. So it'll stay right here. Shot clock resets to 20. Baseline out of bounds for Southern Illinois Edwardsville.
Have to come off here thinking to score right off the baseline out of bounds play. They were successful the last one.
Here's Sean Doss on the drive, rejected by Oso Iguodaro.
Last season, you wouldn't have seen Iguodaro with the dunk that he had, dunking on the defender, the rim protection that he's providing right now. He has made big steps of improvement in his game from last season to this season so far.
Ayshawn Taylor. Errant pass goes over the head of Sean Doss. And a turnover, the 25th of the night for Brian Baroni's club, gives it back to Marquette.
Well, that turnover happens because, once again, Iguodaro had two big plays on that possession. The block shot out of bounds. And if you're not watching it, you got to go back and watch the film. But he's going to get commended tomorrow when they're watching the film. He showed big on the ball screen, using his size and his length, made the pass difficult for Ayshawn Taylor.
Both teams in the double bonus. If you're SIUE, do you foul here right away? Or do you let the clock go a little bit and try to defend and get a turnover?
You try to get a steal. You try to get a steal or a turnover on the first pass. Once it gets to the second pass, you foul right away. So defense on the first pass to try to come up with a steal and a turnover. That's the first pass. Now, after 3 dribbles, after the second, now you got to foul.
Courtney Carter fouls, and now he will foul out. He was defending Kolick. When he got the inbounds pass, you could tell he didn't want to foul.
Right.
But now Courtney Carter has 5. He heads to the bench. And the freshman Cam Jones from Cordova, Tennessee, heads to the stripe for Marquette.
Well, that was the right idea. Then you foul the freshman who misses the free throw. But you have 49 seconds. It's a 2-possession game. You want to try to trap and get a steal out of that first pass. Second pass foul right away, which the Cougars did.
Jones leaving the door open a little bit. He missed the first. Knocks down the second. And it's a 7-point basketball game. Now offensively, how do you play it if you're SIUE? They haven't taken many threes tonight.
Well, you're going against a set defense. I want to get some ball movement and body movement, and I want to attack the paint.
And a quick timeout called by head coach Brian Baroni. He wants to talk things over. His team is just 2 for 11 from downtown.
They're going to play against Johnny Juzang, UCLA, coming off of that NCAA tournament run. You talked about Kofi Cockburn in Illinois. They have Omar Payne, the Florida transfer.
There is Ayshawn Taylor. Off the mark on the 3-point attempt. Rebound, Justin Lewis. And out to Tyler Kolick.
Got a foul.
And there is the foul from Ayshawn Taylor.
That's 5.
He didn't want to do it because, as you said, Dickie, he will head to the bench and has fouled out tonight.
Well, that was a tough shot. That was a tough possession coming out of the timeout, the ATO after timeouts, for him to shoot that 3.
Taylor fouls out with 16 points and 5 rebounds. So now 2 shots for Tyler Kolek. And last year he shot 79% at George Mason, en route to becoming the A10 Freshman of the Year.
I'm going to make a prediction right here and say Kolek is going to lead the Big East in assists and be one of the, if not lead the country, be one of the top 3 in assists in college basketball.
Doss reaches in and fouls Kolek to stop the clock, and that should do it here from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was a 1-point game at halftime, 39-38 Marquette. SIUE straight up battled from opening tip to final buzzer. And the final score, I don't think, is going to express how close this game really was.
No, the final score is not going to indicate the competitiveness that the Cougars played with today, the fire, the chip on their shoulders, coming up short, but making this game very close, making Marquette have to really methodically think out the last 3 minutes of the game. But I like the talent of this Cougars team, Matt.